Um, Today we're going to be talking about reputation versus integrity. We've talked about imposter syndrome, we've talked about visibility, and this is another thing I think that we leaders would face as a challenge, trying to balance both your reputation and your integrity. So usually we face this tension of trying to manage how people perceive us and who we truly are, because reputation is basically how people see you and what they interpret. Like your actions might be meant, you might mean something different by your actions, but people might interpret it differently. So that is what reputation actually is. So constantly we try to manage it, we try to adjust our behaviors to please other people, and you but I need you to learn to build this integrity, this character that you can really rely on deeply, that you stick to the principles that you believe in no matter how people view it. Because instead of us seeking external validation and approval, let us learn to draw inner strength from the personal beliefs and ethics that we have. So because really, reputation is a short-term appearance. If I'm trying to look good in front of people and I don't really work on myself to exhibit that from like deep within, it's going to just last for a little while. But if I have integrity, I'm going to be building from a place of credibility, and that's what I want us to talk about today. So, our journey today, we're going to start first of all by separating it, like defining what reputation is and what integrity is, and the high cost, the risk, and the consequences. We'll recognize the dangers of prioritizing our image over our character, the inner strength and why integrity matters. Then we'll look at the leadership compass and practical steps, because I am big on practical steps, so that every week you're doing what you learned. You're not just going to just sit here and just she said this, but I want to see it playing out in all our lives. So the great divide between reputation and integrity. Reputation, like I said before, is what people think about you. Is based on their opinion and their perception, and it could be wrong, it could be right. It's given by others. It just depends on the outside validation, like what people see. It can shift with circumstances. Today, people might think that you're wonderful. Tomorrow, they might think, oh, you're just doing this because of this. And the story I know that hits me whenever I think about reputation versus integrity is the story of Nehemiah. Nehemiah was touched by what was happening in Jerusalem, and the king granted him. I mean, if some of us might know this as Christians, is a story from the Bible, but it really really inspires me. And I think if you're teaching leadership and you don't go through the Bible, you've not started, because there are a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn from the lives of people, people in the Bible, the kings, the prophets, and especially Jesus. So if you're trying to talk about leadership and you don't mention anything concerning the Bible, you've not started, honestly. So this story of Nehemiah, it struck me to relate, as I related it more to reputation and integrity, when it came to the part where he had gone back to Jerusalem. They had rebuilt the walls, and his enemies heard that there were no holes in the walls, and they asked. That was like chapter 6 of Nehemiah. So they asked to have a meeting with him. When he refused to have the meeting with them, they went like, okay. They now started writing things like, oh, you're just doing this because you want to be king. You're doing this because you want that. They wrote, they tried to make a mess of his reputation. And if at that point he was so concerned about his reputation, what he would have probably done is gone like, oh, okay, please let us have that meeting. So you see, when you focus on reputation, you end up taking decisions that are not aligned with your with your calling, with your purpose, you tend to step out of it. But you need to focus on what you're building. What are you building? Who are you behind? Because integrity is what is inside, who you really are at your core. It's built on your character, your values. It's created from consistent choices that you make. You get. So he stuck with what he was doing. He said no, that he's building, that he cannot come down to meet them. So the thing about knowing yourself and having that integrity is you also know who to listen to. Because the first time they asked him to come, let them have a meeting, he felt it really deep within himself that they wanted to harm him. So he didn't go for the meeting. So when they started trying to spoil his reputation, the prophet told him to go to the temple and hide. And that is the mistake most of us make when people want to damage our reputation. We think we can hide under religion. That's the last thing you should do. By their fruits you shall know them, right? So if you're really a person of integrity, you stick to what you're doing, you stick to what you stand by, no matter what is happening around you. You don't go and start hiding under religion, because naturally, if you're a good person, if you're a born again Christian, if you're all those things should show from your character and not because you're trying to protect your reputation. So basically, reputation, though we're always talking about it, my reputation, but sometimes it can actually be a trap. When you prioritize your reputation over integrity, that's a very dangerous cycle that you've entered into. Because first of all, you'll be very anxious. You have anxiety, constant anxiety, because you're constantly wondering, oh, am I doing the right thing? How do they, not am I doing the right thing? How are people seeing me? Or what did they say? What did they write on my status? Did anybody comment? That's a lot to deal with, honestly. Just keep doing what you're doing. Don't be bothered about what people are saying, as long as you know that you're doing the right thing. So, and people tend to sense that you're not authentic if you base everything about you on reputation. There's this, you need to learn to focus on who you are. When people are, when okay, like, think about it this way: who am I when nobody is watching? You get. That is your authentic self. And if you feel that that authentic self is not good enough, work on it to improve on yourself, not based on what people are saying about you. Work on being a better you. So the fact that you're basing your decisions and your actions on your reputation would also lead you to having decision paralysis. You tend to delay to call tough calls because you're like, you even want to seek opinions all the time. You call this person, what do you think? I want to do this, I want to do that. How would it look? You're not concerned about how what the purpose that you have. You're more concerned about avoiding some kind of conflict, and because of that you miss out on opportunities that might, you tend to miss out on opportunities because of that. So let's look at numbers. Research reveals that there's tangible impact the tangible impact of reputation driven versus integrity driven leadership on organizational outcomes and personal sustainability. So you can see the numbers: employees who can dictate when leaders prioritize image over authenticity, there's a trust gap. Then the burnout rate is 3 times higher when you base your leadership on managing reputation versus your character. The team performance, improvement in team performance under integrity focused leadership. You see, so if you base your leadership on integrity, you tend to improve your team's performance and boost retention of better talents. So therefore, integrity is the foundation upon which reputation should be built. It shouldn't be the other way around. You don't build your integrity based on reputation. You build the integrity is the foundation. If your integrity is out, is loud, it definitely will affect the reputation, no matter what people were saying in the first place. If you remain consistent in what your purpose is, what your calling is, what your character, and you just focus, definitely it will yield better. So why integrity creates better leaders? There is clarity in complexity. When values guide decisions, complex situations become simpler. You have a reliable compass rather than constantly recalculating based on perception. Like the example I gave you, Nehemiah wasn't going to base his decisions on what people were saying. That they were saying, oh, you're doing this only because you want to be a leader. You're doing this because they wanted to find like everything negative about what he was doing. So imagine if he had based his decisions, he would have just left and gone like, okay, I'm not doing it anymore because that wasn't the reason I was doing it in the first place. So it helps you to stay grounded. Integrity provides an anchor during the storms. That's how you can survive no matter the bad news. Because definitely, if you're out there, that's why it's not good to believe whatever you hear about people. Once people are in leadership position, there will be terrible news flying up and down about them. Once you're out there, once you're visible, people will say terrible things about you. It's either they're talking about, oh, she's just doing this because of this, oh, or she has this. Because like I remember one time I was working in a place, and there was this so much favor from people, and regularly I'll be called up to go like, oh, come and give the closing remark and all that. So it felt like, why is she always out there? Why are they always calling her? The next thing, they started spreading like terrible rumors about me. It was terrible. I know I called my mom then because I was much younger. I was in my early 20s at that time. I called my mom and I was like, I was crying. I was like, see what they're saying about me. They said I did this, I did that, I did that. And she was like, Gelly, you're not, Gelly is what they call me. So like, you're not ready. You're not ready because if this is going to make you cry, you're going to meet a lot more. People will say worse things about you in the future. You need to learn to be tough skinned. And that thing sank till today. It sank so deep that no matter what people are saying about what I'm doing, if I'm convinced that that is what I should be doing, I will do it. So it provides, no matter the storm, no matter the weather, you stick to what you're called to do. Character driven leadership compounds over time. So you see, if you just maintain it, no matter what they are saying, just maintain through the storm, through the whatever it's going through, it will die off, but your character will stand. It will be sustainable over time. So what's the leadership compass we'll use today? Let's look at practical steps to build integrity driven leadership. First of all, define your non-negotiables. There's some things you would write down today, 3 to 5 core values. Just bring out your journals, write it down. 3 to 5 values that define who you are at your best. Write them down, make them visible, let them guide your toughest decisions so that when you're told to do something, you remember, oh no, this is not part of my 5 core values. Then practical radical self-awareness. Create space for honest self-assessment. Don't lie to yourself. That's the the last thing you would want to do is to lie to yourself. So ask, am I doing this because it is right or because it looks good? What is the motive? So in everything you're doing, what is the motive? Then choose courage over comfort. Comfort never gets you anywhere in life. Integrity demands difficult choices. So build your courage muscle by taking small stands on principles, preparing for larger moments when they arrive. Cultivate accountability partners. This is very important. Surround yourself with people who will change you to who will challenge you, sorry, who will challenge you to live according to with the standard of value that you have written out in the first step. Give them permission to point out gaps, because sometimes you find yourself almost tilting the wrong direction. But if you're surrounded with people that share the same core values as you, they would remind you that no, this is what you're doing right now is not acceptable. Then measure character, not results. Even if it's just as in maintain yourself. Stop looking at who is looking at you. Stop wondering who is perceiving what you're doing as right. No. Track how you are showing up, not just what you are achieving. It's consistency that matters. So reflect quickly. Did I lead with integrity? Where did I compromise? What will I do differently? So the choice before you is, if this is what all of us face, will you build your leadership? Because when we're talking about leadership, I hope you're not just seeing yourself like it's for a certain sect of people. Anywhere you find yourself, even in a family, in whatever situation, as long as there's one or two people that look up to you, you you're automatically a leader in that place. And when you become visible, when you're out there trying to chase your purpose, you put yourself in a position of leadership. So will you build that leadership on shifting sands of reputation? How many people liked my post? How many people are watching? Oh, somebody said this about me. Should I then stop doing like this? They said I dress in this manner. They said I do this. They said, oh, you're so legalistic. You don't wear this. You don't do that. Am I going to base my am I going to shift because of that? So are you basing it on the shifting sands of reputation or on the solid ground of integrity? Like what I'm doing, let me check my 3 to 5 core values. Does it align? Oh, it aligns. Then I don't care what anybody is saying. So the first part offers short-term comfort. You actually be comfortable if everybody is pushing like hailing, oh my goodness, you're doing awesome. If you're trying to get the cheers from the crowd, it will give you that comfort for a short time. But if you want to last, you need to build your character. The second requires immediate courage, but delivers sustainable strength. So this week, you need to identify one decision where you were tempted to choose based on appearance rather than principle. Make the harder character consistent choice. Notice what happens to you or to your team or to your leadership. Remember, your reputation is what others think when you enter the room. Your integrity is what remains when you leave that room. So build your integrity, and the former, which is reputation, will take care of itself. Thank you.
Wow, this is great.